What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Dan and Steven here. So this episode we're doing some more Dave, and this is Dave question time.
It was requested in one of the comments on the last Dave video. The last fucking Dave video we done, it was class. It was psycho. I still haven't really checked out many of stuff. We obviously reacted to Black and Psycho, but apparently this song is sick.
I'm expecting like the bar's getting higher and higher the more I listen to Dave, to be fair.
And you haven't heard this at all? Have you ever heard anything about this song?
No.
So you don't know at all what it's about?
I know Dave and question time, just that's it.
Yeah, that's about it.
So we give it a go, see how it goes. Yeah. Dave, okay.
Dave, yeah.
Good so far. Question time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a right video anyway.
I hope this is really fucking deep.
Of course it is. You know I tell, fuck's sake.
Question for the new Prime Minister. How do you have a heart so sinister? How are we so wasteful when people are dying in Somalia, Afghanistan, Egypt, Libya? The irony is we have no business in...
Already. He's already in there.
So, this is... When did this come out? So I
17.
imagine this is Theresa May he's talking to.
Must be Theresa May, 2017. How long was Boris Johnson Prime Minister before the election?
He's not been Prime Minister that long.
Yeah,
so this is not towards Boris. This is towards Theresa May.
Well, it could be towards Boris. So
far, yes.
So this is obviously against Theresa May. All right, so far.
Syria, but kids are getting killed for all the business in Syria, and then they try and tell you that it's ISIS in their attempts at killing it. How many civilians died? So what's the difference between us and them? When you got drones killing kids just touching 10, then when a bomb goes off, every politician's lost like that last strike. It didn't kill 100 men. You ain't the same as them, but all that fuel for the fire is what you gave to them and what you take from them. All my life I know my mum's been working, in and out of nursing, struggling, hurting. I just find it fucked that the government is struggling to care for a person that cares for a person. So where's the discussion on wages and budgets, how they made them redundant? When I was a young'un, the letters in her car said my mum was overdraft, but somehow I still had dinner money in my pocket. And even the little things like ordering pizza were probably the reason for overtime in the evening. 5 till 10, 6 hours of sleeping. For 22 years my mum was doing it cleaning, dreaming that her kids would have a better life, going bed at night, struggling with getting by. That's the reality for millions of people in a nation where a lot of us were looking for a second try. A question for the new Prime Minister, and please tell me if I'm being narrow-minded, but how do we spend so much money on defence and weapons to wage war when the NHS is dying, bursting at the seams? And what about the people that voted for us to leave for the money that it would see? 350 million we give to the EU every week that our health service needs.
I feel like this is a song that we could pause every second, but I don't want to do that because I want to listen to the song.
A lot of people have given us grief in the past for just pausing it too much, but I just want to get a point out there, and that's something that a lot of people don't obviously bring up. Of course, everyone's talking about coronavirus now, but like whenever the whole referendum thing came up about leaving the EU,
Brexit,
Brexit. I never forgot what you call it there. It's been so long since we talked about it. It was like it's the top news story every fucking day during the elections. But like whenever that was happening, like what Nigel Farage just kept going on about, same as Boris Johnson, because he was a leaver. Like whenever we stop paying money to the EU, all this money is going to go into the NHS, but nothing's winning. Nothing's went into the NHS. It's still underfunded. It's actually getting worse and worse. And because of this COVID, they're actually under more stress. And like, we're giving them a wee round of applause every Thursday, which is good. I get that because we're showing respect. Just fucking give them a pay raise. Give them something. They're struggling. They're the ones who are struggling more than anyone.
And sad about this song is the sense that like we're listening to this in 2020. It obviously came out in 2016, 2017. But you know, we're going to be like, oh, it's still relevant to today. But you know, if you listen to this song in 10 years, it'll still be relevant. Like,
it'll still be
change. Do you know what I mean?
But it's still be relevant. But it's almost getting worse now. It's almost. I think it's going so far to the point where people don't even question when like the military go into war with other countries. Like back in the whenever they went to war with Iraq and Afghanistan, and like 1 million people marched in London to stop that war, and then the war still went ahead. But see, when the war happened with Syria and all too, like it was still marches, but it was nowhere near the same amount, because people were just come to the conclusion that there's nothing they can really do. They're becoming disenfranchised with the actual impact they can have in the government. Because if the government did the will of the people and did what the people wanted to do, you know, we wouldn't be in war. There wouldn't be a threat of privatization today in NHS. You know, there'd be more like benefits for the people, like, you know, for people who need it the most. But they don't listen. I think that's the problem.
But now them politicians got what they wanted. Can you see an empty promise or a poster on the street? Nurses in tears because they're working every hour of the week and they still don't have the money that they need. You brought the heart of the nation to its knees. Underpaid, understaffed, overworked and overseen by people who can't ever understand how it feels to live life like you and me. Patients lying in the corridors because doctors can't even find a bed for them to sleep. I remember A&E and all them sickening screams of a little girl waiting for a surgeon to be seen. Privatized healthcare, guns for police, increased uni fees. Is this what they're selling us? Well, let me remind you, just in case you've forgotten, that we live in Great Britain, not in Donald Trump's America. Speaking of America, state and the president, with all due respect, I've got something to say to them. I just find it funny you can't give a hand to Palestine, but you can trade whole arms with Saudi Arabia.
Pause.
I like this guy. I like this guy.
What did he say? He says you can't give a hand to Palestine, but you can give trade arms, like your whole arm, to Saudi Arabia.
So true though.
Holy shit. But I love the way he's saying hand and arm. Like,
yeah,
it's just actually really smart.
But it's scary. Like, and I know we don't want to get into politics, but we kind of have to because the song is very political. Yeah. But like, when we're told by the media to pick a side, you know, we know that there's wars going on. There's a massacre going on in Yemen. We know that the shit that's happening in Palestine and Gaza and all too, but no one really wants to talk about it. But because the news don't talk about it, people assume everything's okay, you know. Yeah. But if you actually read between the lines, like, they're actually supplying arms to Saudi Arabia, who's doing a genocide in Yemen. Like, why isn't that? Why are we talking about that?
What was that quote that I said? Frankie Boyle had said one time. He said, like, UK are the highest aid givers to Yemen, but they're also the highest arm dealers to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, they're playing both sides. Almost playing both sides.
It's just like they're using those arms to bomb Yemen, and then we're sending them support. Don't make fucking sense.
It's crazy. Like, it's sad though, but that's the bad thing about like modern UK and where the UK is going. You know, I think it's going down the same path as America. And I'm not saying Donald Trump. Donald Trump just continued it on. He didn't start this. This started years ago with the military-industrial complex, you know. I think that's the sad thing. I think the UK are following suit and leaving the EU and then trying to privatise the NHS. It's all like, it all points in one direction, and that's the sad reality of it all, you know.
I got a question for the new Prime Minister. At Grenfell Tower, your response was ridiculous. You hid like a coward behind your 5 million, dodged responsibility and acted like you're innocent. And I can see you're terrified. You're not good at telling lies. I'm getting why you stay away from everything that's televised. You look like a robot and you don't speak with any life. It feels to me like any guy in press could have said them lines. Imagine going to the council for the safety of your block and you got kids but they're ignoring you at every time. Everyone who knew about that cladding should really be going prison under rule of joint enterprise. But if it ain't a little kid with a knife, I bet that judge is going easy when he's giving him time. They don't deserve to be free. Any builder MP that knew about the conditions but did it to save cheese. When I listened to the things that the residents had seen, I was so shocked I couldn't even speak. Families they know that had died in their sleep. How you choke on the smoke when you're struggling to breathe. The glow from the fire, the panic when you hear all of the sirens, the crackling, the popping and the muffled out screams. The fear in the eyes of a man that was trapped who jumped 15 floors from the tower to the street. I could only hear a fraction of the pain and the grief. Closing my eyes, trying hard not to cry at the joy and relief in the face of a man when a woman from the flat said his neighbour was alive. No help from the council when keeping any list or the people that survived, his neighbours and peers. And for that whole meeting I could see that he was trying, so his smile was an island in a sea full of tears. Look, I got a message for our old Prime Minister, David Cameron. I mean, you fucked us, resigned and sneaked out the firing line. I wanna know how you managed it. And are you bathing in the sun while them papers have a run at the woman that you left here to handle it? You gonna teach your little lad to be the man that's got a plan, and then the moment that it fails to abandon it? Are there bullies in his school? And when you pick him up after class, can you feel his embarrassment? I mean, you never gave a fuck about the youth, and that's the truth. There's no sympathy for you or your cabinet. I really wish I could have seen how you were scrambling when you lost the referendum that you had to win. I feel like politicians are all addicts in a big fat game, but it's lives that you gamble with. I've got a question for the leader of the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn. Where do you want to take the country to? Honestly, I want to put my trust in you, but you can understand why if I got trust issues. Do you really have the faith of your party? Do you really have faith in the party that will come with you? And how do you plan on keeping all the promises, man? If I'm being honest, sir, I'm struggling to get with it. I just ain't getting it. Everybody's great until you get them into office, and then guys start forgetting things. Prove to us you're different. Don't promise me anything. Go and get justice for a Sean Charles and Edison. And if you haven't had the thought to vote yet or protest cause you don't really see the progress, I hope you know that what they're saying is affecting us. The small steps are way better than no steps.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Like, I was sitting there enjoying that there, kind of getting into it, and just because it's really good hip hop song, it's good rap song. But you think about he actually what he's actually talking about is really sad, if you get me. So I'm
See,
like,
the whole Grenfell stuff, I was like, I actually can't really listen to this.
yeah, I was so fucking tough to listen to. Like, but to me, like, you're getting into it because it's the class song, but like, fuck, he's like making some really valid points, and like why, like, the question has, like, the question's gone away. Like, what happened? Like, what happened to all the Grenfell victims and stuff? Like, they didn't get accommodation.
Yeah, and see, the thing is as well, like, because of where we're from, like, those towers, like, how many of them do we know? How many of them do we see? Like, you're minutes away from, and obviously we're fortunate and privileged enough that we don't actually live in those towers. But there's what's the difference between the Grenfell Tower and the New Lodge Flats? There's no difference.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Or
so
Davis.
like, it's, yeah, you feel like whenever that happened, you're like, holy shit, because I get it if you lived out in the countryside or like you're so detached from that style of living, but we're not. Like, we literally see that every single day. So like, when that happened, I was like, fuck me.
Yeah.
It's insane, and especially when you hear him rapping about it, you're like, fuck.
But I think that's what the media is doing. Like, it's, I know it sounds really conspiracy theorist, whatever, tinfoil hat, but it's propaganda. They're trying to detach people from what's actually going on in society. Like, that's 3 years on, we still haven't got answers about Grenfell. There's victims who survived, still haven't got accommodation. Like, hundreds of people died in that fire, and nothing's been done about it. No one's been prosecuted. The conversation's done already. And that's the bad thing about this COVID-19 thing. It's the bad thing about the actual elections before Christmas. Like, once the election takes away everything. And I like the way he actually pointed out all parties. He didn't just point it, because obviously
I like that too.
I obviously followed Dave like recently, and then he's obviously Labour and stuff, and he's like, you think he voted Jeremy Corbyn now? But like, he's like, well, like, I'll vote for you, like, but like, I don't know. Exactly. Like, what happens if I vote you in?
He was basically saying, like, you know, you need to prove it to me. And like, with Jeremy Corbyn, as much as we probably were on his side, it's like, did he do enough to really prove to people? Because, like, I understand that he wasn't leading the country, but he's still in a massive position of power, and some people just didn't trust him.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. And it might even be the fact of him, but it's the whole system. People just don't trust the system anymore. Like, you said yourself all the time about Obama and how his like fucking mandate was amazing until he got in the office, and then like as J. Cole said in that song "Free," he was like, I didn't really see any changes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's the same. So that's why people think, oh, Jeremy Corbyn, yeah, it sounds great, but like, would that actually happen?
Exactly. You know, so for me, during that whole election, it was like, okay, with Jeremy Corbyn, his promises are so good, but like Boris Johnson's promises were so bad. So I'm like, okay, is either of these going to actually do their policies and their promises? You don't know, but at least this guy's trying, and maybe even like promising something he's not going to achieve. But that's why I liked it. But the video wasn't just one sided. He wasn't, and I think he almost defended Theresa May a wee bit, saying like, David Cameron, you sneaked at the back door and fucking left this woman to take all the fire. Like, she wasn't here, it wasn't her fault. We're fucking actually doing a referendum to leave the EU. Like, that was your fault. Teach me, how did you do that? How did you fuck this country and actually and not get any grief for it? You can listen to this here from any point of view, from conservative, Labour, left, right, and just go, he's literally just asking the question, and why isn't the question being asked on a regular basis?
But yeah.
Yeah, let us know if there are any other Dave videos we should react to, or even just listen to ourselves.
All right, folks, peace out.
Cheers.